Officially muting all y'all. Great, thank you. And thank you for dropping in this morning, making time in your busy weekend, busy holiday weekend, no less, to join the online yoga posse for Sunday morning yoga church. And today's practice is dedicated to all the gardeners out there. This one's for you. I spent several hours over the weekend on my hands and knees, pulling weeds, sitting on buckets turned upside down to take a little heat off my lower back. My wrists hurt from gripping the I don't even know what the tool is called, but it's got prongs and it digs into the ground. From using that, the shovel, anyway, wrist, shoulders, low back, knees, they all ache. So this practice, we are going to use a dowel because lo and behold, there's all kinds of things we can do with a shovel or a rake, or my husband so generously for my birthday this year bought me what's called a stirrup hoe. Now, if you don't know what that is, join the club. I had no idea what this was. I had to look it up online, but I have a bright yellow stirrup hoe, which I have yet to use. But anyway, it does make a great dowel rod if you're out working in the yard. So we're going to begin with our sticks. And if you have a long dowel or a short dowel, either one is going to work. We're going to do, either one will work, but I'm going to use a shorter dowel for the practice today. We're going to start on our back. Please have your dowel with you. Coming down onto the floor. And for just about 90 seconds, I want you to drop into your sticky mat. Legs can be straight or knees can be bent, either way, up to you. One hand on your low belly, one hand on your low ribs. And we're going to do what my teacher calls emptying before we begin. Eyes closed. Couple of deep breaths. Transitioning from the activities of the morning to this scheduled time for you, your body, mind, spirit on the mat. Bend your knees and take your feet as wide as your mat, maybe even off the mat. We're going to start with windshield wipers. I'm going to give you the option to use your dowel rod in this, with the dowel in your hands over your head, with a little bend to your elbows. So you might just hold on to the very ends of your dowel rod. And keeping shoulders down, wrists, back of your hands down as you drop your knees to one side and then the other. So the breathing is inhale to take your knees over. I usually start on the left. And exhale to sweep your knees back up through center. Inhale, take your knees over to the right. Good, and then keep going from side to side. Anchor down, root down through your shoulders, your scapula, elbows, forearms, and backs of your hands. So the next time that your knees are going over to the left, I'm going to have you stay there. And if you're using a dowel, or even if you're using a strap, then I'm going to have you take your right arm straight out to the right. Keep the strap or the dowel in your left hand, but your left arm will go straight up over your head to the floor alongside your left ear. Bring your knees back up through center. Float your dowel centered over your head to the floor, just beyond your head. And then take your knees to the right and you'll slide your left arm straight out to the left. Right arm up alongside your right ear. It's a nice way to lengthen throughout the sidelines of the body, as well as getting some extension through the spine. And a little bit of a twist happening as well. Countering all of the hunching over and the slumping over. Great, let's take another breath. And then you'll come back up through center. And walk your feet towards one another. Keep your dowel over your head, your strap or your shovel over your head. And I'm going to have you take your legs straight down onto your mat. We're going to come into banana pose, banana asana. And we're going to start by sweeping the left leg over to the left. Take it as far off the mat. And then you're going to sweep your right leg over to meet your left leg. And you can cross your ankles. Now, some people like to cross left ankle over right. I like to cross right over left. It doesn't matter. But what does matter is you got to keep your right butt cheek down. Right buttock stays down. So you might need to bring yourself back just a little towards the midline in order to accomplish that. Good. And then, again, with or without the rod over your head, you can start to arc your arms, shoulders, and upper body over to the left as well, bringing yourself into a banana shape for the health-minded individual, or the croissant shape for the rest of us who have croissants and jam on the mind. Okie dokie. So you can uncross your ankles if they are crossed, and one leg at a time, bring your right leg back to center and then left leg back. Square your shoulders with your hips and pause for a moment, just a breath or two. Okay, and then we'll go over to the other side. You sweep your right leg off to the right, and then bring your left leg over to meet it. And then if you like to cross the ankles, cross the ankles. And you can start arcing your upper body over to the right as well. Good, and come back to center, please. Get yourself squared off, squared away. Okay, and then we're going to come up to sitting. So you can bend your knees, feet to your sticky, roll to your favorite side, sweep yourself upright, and we're going to come into Sukhasana. Sukha meaning good space or ease, and that's cross-legged. Now it's cross-legged, but we've got the shins pushed forward. So let's go right shin in front of left shin. And we push the shins forward so that left shin is snug right up behind the right shin. Draw your knees a little closer together so ultimately your feet start to come out, start to line up directly underneath your knees. And then of course find your sitting bones rocking from side to side, grabbing some cheek meat and pulling it away, and fingertips then to the floor. Breathe in, lengthening your spine, and then we're going to come forward, exhaling, walk your hands out front, and just come down to the degree that's appropriate for you to get a little ease in your lower back. Now stay low, whatever low is for you, and begin to arc your torso over to the left, bringing your sternum over your left knee. Stay grounded through your right sitting bone and heavy in your right femur bone. And then some of you might want to experiment with maybe taking your right elbow and kind of getting at the old elbow hook to the ball of your right foot or to the instep of your right foot. And this can give you a little leverage, because what I'm also going to ask you to do, everybody can do this, is bring your left fingertips to the floor just beyond your left hip and kind of push yourself into your right hip. Lean into your right waist and right ribs. All right, great. Come back to center, please. And take a breath, folding forward, lining up your spine, your sternum directly down the midline. And then you can walk yourself upright. Now, before you change legs, I'm going to have you bring your hands together with a gentle clasp to your fingers, and we'll make figure eights going in one direction, just a loose grip on your fingers. Reverse the motion, please. Great, and pause long enough to change the interlace of your fingers, other pinky on the outside now, and figure eights again. A good thing to do both before and after your gardening sequence. And then reverse the motion, please. Great. Bring your palms together. Drop your hands down towards your lap. And then spin your fingertips down towards your lap. Great. Keeping the four corners of your palms connected. And while your hands are like this, spread your fingers wide and then bring them back together. Spread them wide, bring them back. One more time, spread your fingers wide and bring them back. Excellent. Good. Fingertips to the floor. Now you'll change the cross of your legs. So the left shin will be on the outside And get yourself geared up, shins one right in front of the other. Some of you who like to do fire log pose, that would be the left shin stacked on top, up to you. And then when you're ready, you're going to hinge forward and come on down. This is a nice shape. I mean, because it's kind of pigeon-like, right? If we're lying on our back, doing that figure four, that reclining pigeon. This is very much the same action in the hips, big external rotation in the femur bones in the hip socket. And I don't know, probably a lot of you, maybe not everybody, but probably a lot of you are feeling some sensation in your left butt cheek. Piriformis muscle is starting to get some attention. The piriformis muscle, you have one on each side, and it's actually shaped kind of like a pear, which is how it gets its name, piri, P-I-R-I, piriformis, formed like a pear. Kind of a sense where juicing the pear, you could say. Good, staying low. Now you'll sweep your upper body over to the right. You can bring your right fingertips to the floor out beyond your right leg. And remember, just kind of like gently nudge yourself into your right ribs. Stay anchored in your right sitting bone. Great. And then maybe experiment with kind of tucking your left elbow into the sole of your left foot. Give yourself just a bit more arch and arc through the left side. So really expanding those tissues around the ribs, and the intercostal muscles between the ribs. Good, and come back through center, please. And fold forward for one full breath, just an in breath, out breath, kind of tying it off. Great, and walk yourself up. Keep your legs crossed the way they are, unless it's crazy uncomfortable, then of course change. But I'm gonna have you now bring your fingertips to your shoulders, and we're gonna do 4 circles with the elbows in one direction, big sweeping circles. And the other direction, please. These wrist and shoulder warm-ups are taken from Mukunda Stiles, his structural yoga therapy book and sequence. Really good stuff if you work, if you work with anybody, really, privately, beginners, all levels really can benefit significantly. Okay, so then, after the elbow circles, I'm gonna have you bring your hands together one more time. And again, palms down towards your lap. And then this time, spin your fingertips towards your sternum. Good. Spread your fingers wide, and then close them up. Spread them wide, close them up. Keep the base of your thumbs connected as you spread your fingers wide. Close them up one more time, spread them wide, and close them up. Excellent, good. Now I'm gonna have you come onto all fours, tabletop. Just gonna do a couple more things for the shoulders and the wrists, and then we'll start a little flow action. Onto your hands and knees. Starting with one of my all-time favorite shoulder mobilizers, which I call scap presses. And in this action, you keep your lower back out of the equation, but simply draw your shoulder blades together towards your spine as you breathe in, and then pull your shoulder blades apart as you breathe out. The action is the sliding, gliding action of the scapula. Now, it's key to keep your arms straight. Otherwise, this becomes more of an elbow bicep thing. Okay, we're gonna do 10 of these, so keep rolling. Squeezing in and then pulling apart. Squeezing in and pulling apart. Of course, you could do this on your hands and knees in your yard. You could also put your hands against the side of a shed or a house and do this standing to get up off your knees. Great. When you've done 10 of those, we're going to go into wrist raises. Now, for wrist raises, I want you to turn your hands just out to the side enough so your index fingers point towards the top of your sticky mat, and the eyes of your elbows also look towards the top of your sticky mat. And then from here, you just peel your wrists and your thumbs up off the mat, but keep the other 4 knuckles down, and then bring your wrist back down. And we're going to do this 10 times. And you can notice if one hand has, more mobility, or maybe one is more resistant. But again, it's key to keep the arms straight. And you don't have to put a lot of weight on your hands. You can kind of sink your hips back a bit to do this. Or toy around with putting the weight over your wrists. Peeling up and setting down. Fingers stay on the mat, knuckles stay on the mat. Just the wrist and the palms raise up. Looks terrific. Great. After 10 of those bad boys, now I'm going to have you walk your left hand forward just a bit so your wrist isn't directly under your shoulder anymore. So it takes a little heat off of your left wrist. Take your right hand, and now you're going to spin it so your palm is up. Back of your hand is on the mat. Fingertips are pointing towards the midline of your mat. From here, I'm going to have you lean over to the left to keep all of the back of your hand on the sticky mat. So you're probably not going to lean very far. Fingers, back of the fingers on the mat, back of the hand on the mat, arm is straight. Excellent. Take your right hand, move your fingers around, take your right hand off the mat. And then set your right hand down, just slightly in front of your shoulder. And flip your left hand, palm up, fingers pointing towards the middle of the mat, the midline of the mat. Now you'll lean over to the right. All right, pick your left hand off the mat, wiggle your fingers, wave your fingers around a bit. And we're going to drop into child's pose just for a breath. Settle in, breathe in deeply. Exhale. Good. From here, I'm going to have you unpack yourself into staff pose. Legs straight, arms straight. And then move into downward facing dog, please. All right, so here's our little flow. Breathing in, come to your hands and your knees, look forward. So it's the cow with the cat-cow. Arching your back, breathing out. Drop your hips back to child's pose. And then inhaling, propel yourself forward to staff. Straight legs, straight arms. Exhale, downward facing dog. So we're going to do that 2 more times, just that sweet little flow. Inhale, starting in cow pose, hands and knees, arching your back, spinal extension. Exhale, child's pose, balasana. I like to do this personally with my toes tucked under. So I start opening up the fascia of the feet totally up to you. Inhale, now you're ready for staff pose, Adho Mukha Dandasana, downward facing staff. Exhaling, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Terrific. One more time. And after this last one, when you land in downward dog, I'm going to have you stay there for 3 deep breaths. Wonderful. And now from here, float your right heel high, please. Straight up behind you. Inhaling, exhaling. Push back through your heel and sink your left heel a little closer to the floor. One more breath. On the exhalation, I'm going to have you step your right foot forward. Bring your left knee down. And then stack your hands one on top of the other on top of your right knee. Great. And you're going to keep your right hand to your right knee. Your left hand is going to reach up and across. Reaching up on the in-breath and back down as you exhale. Just 3 more times. Reaching up like you're picking peaches. And down. Inhale and reach. It's a twist and kind of a side bend all happening at once. And exhale. Good. Last one. Reach up and across. And exhale. Good. Now take your dowel. Doesn't matter how tall, how long or tall the dowel is. Just grab your dowel and anchor it to the floor, just to the outside of your sticky mat, in line with your right hip. Sweep your left arm straight up, and we're going to side bend over to the right, using the dowel as another point of contact onto the floor to keep us stable, steady, balanced. Good. Now, while you're here, draw your belly in. And notice if or how that changes any sensations through your left hip flexors. Beautiful. And bring your left arm back up, find that vertical line, set your dowel to the floor. Hands come to the mat, just to the inside of your right foot. And I'm going to have you pick your left knee up. Get off the knee. Inhale. As you exhale, hover your knee right above the mat. So it's just barely touching the mat. And then inhale, straighten your left leg, really opening up the back of the left knee. And then exhale, just hover the knee right above the mat. So no pressure on the knee. 2 more times, pushing your left heel back. And then dropping the knee right above the mat. 1 more time, push your left heel back. Reach back, reach back, reach back. Good. And now you're going to step back to downward facing dog. Good. Nice. Feels good in the left front hip. And in downward dog, just simply march your heels one at a time. All right, let's go to the other side. Float your left leg up and keep it up there. Sink your right heel down a little closer to the floor. Excellent. 1 more breath. And when you exhale, left foot is going to step forward. And bring your right knee down to the mat. Stack your hands one on top of the other on top of your left knee. Now you'll notice I don't have my right knee too far back. I mean, I'm not, this is right now, this is not my intention to stretch the quadriceps. Right now, my intention is to have more of a stacked hip over the knee. So left hand stays on the left knee, right arm reaches across and up and back down just 4 times. Cross and up on the inhale. Wrapping the skin of your right ribs around to the right. One more time. Exhale, great. Now you'll take your dowel rod into your left hand. And if you're not using a dowel today, you can just keep your left hand on your left thigh and do the side bend that way. Sweep your right arm up and arc over to the left. Belly stays firm. Roll your right shoulder back just a smidge. Nice. Pull your right arm up, right arm down, set your dowel stick down. Bring your fingertips to the inside of your left foot. And now we can start inching the right foot back a bit. As you inhale, push back through your right heel, lifting the right knee off the floor. And exhale, hover the knee right above the mat. Inhale, push back through your right heel, getting a big stretch from the inside of your left knee to the inside of your right heel. And exhale down 2 more times. Good, and then step back to downward facing dog. Now you've got some options. You can drop into child's pose if you'd like, or do 1 round of that little the little vinyasa we did, coming to hands and knees, cow pose, arching the back, looking forward, exhaling, child's pose, lengthening the back, the muscles of the low back. Inhale, staff pose. And then we'll all meet exhaling, downward facing dog. Alrighty. So this time in downward facing dog, I'm going to have you take your right leg up, roll your right hip back, bend your knee, and reach your right heel towards your left shoulder. Good. Roll your ankle around, make 3 circles with your toes in one direction and then in the other direction. Great. And then square your hips, please. Re-extend your legs straight back behind you. I'm going to have you step forward now. Right foot forward. Now, stay off of your left knee, if possible. I'm going to have you come up into a high lunge. Arms straight out. Then internally rotate your right arm. So roll your right shoulder forward, turn your right palm back as you externally rotate your left arm. Good, and we're going to go the other way. Internal and external rotation. Yeah, great. Good. Excellent. 1 more time. Right arm forward, left arm back. Terrific. Go ahead and bring your arms back to neutral. Pick your dowel up. Bring your dowel to your like bra line along your back, and then let the dowel rest in your elbows. Bend your elbows, forearms out front. And then from here, you're gonna spin your back heel down. Now keep your right knee moving slightly to the right, but turn your torso to the left. We've got this warrior 2 stance going on. Push your ribs into your dowel. Terrific. Now straighten your right leg. Turn your right toes in. Take a moment to square your feet so your heels are equal distance from the back of your mat. And then let your dowel drop down towards your tush. Take your hands to your dowel, palms facing your tush. Breathing in, drop the dowel below your bum, look up, arching your back, and then as you exhale, come all the way down into a forward bend, lifting the dowel up away from your back and towards the ceiling or the sky. Great. Sorry, the Padottanasana. Good. Now actively reach your dowel rod up and over. So you're pulling your shoulders away from your earlobes. Good. Push back through your femur bones, back through your sit bones. Great. And then from here, bring the dowel to your sacrum, using the dowel like a fulcrum. Press the dowel into the sacrum and lift your chest up, 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 up. Turn your right toes to the front of the mat. Bend your right knee, set your dowel rod down. Hands on either side of your right foot, spin up onto the ball of your back foot, downward facing dog. Good stuff. Let's go right into the other side. Left leg floats up. Roll your hip back. Bend your knee. Circle your toes 3 times. One direction, 3 times the other direction. And then straighten your legs, square your hips. Step your left foot forward. Good. Lift yourself up into a high lunge. Take your arms straight out to the sides. And now we're going to go left shoulder rolls forward, right shoulder back. And then other way. Good. Just 3 times each side. After which you'll pick up your dowel rod, bring your dowel to your back, right about bra line. Let it nestle into the creases of your elbows. And from here, we spin the right heel down. Good. Keeping the left knee gently moving to the left. Just turn your trunk to the right. And look down. Notice if your left knee came with you. Do what you can to keep that left knee lined over your ankle and then push your right ribs into the dowel. Breathe your right ribs into the dowel. Terrific. Straighten your left leg, turn your left toes in. So we're ready for our wide-legged forward bend. Allow the dowel to slide down to your sacrum. This time, hold on to the dowel with both hands with your palms facing away from your back, away from your bum. And then breathing in, arms lengthen down, sternum moves upwards. And then exhaling, hinge at your hip crease, come on down. Lifting the dowel rod up, away from your back, over your head. Good stuff to do with a shovel or a rake. Good, up and over, up and over, up and over. Shake your head no softly. Nod your head yes softly. Yes, yes, yes. Great. Bring the dowel to your sacrum, pressing the dowel into the sacrum like a fulcrum. Then inhale, lead up through your heart. Up, 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 up. Great. Turn your left toes to the left. Set the dowel down, bend your left knee. Good. Hands to the mat, step back, downward facing dog. Right on. Good stuff. Great. From dog pose, I'm going to have you come forward to staff. Come down onto your forearms. We're going to take about a 30-second forearm staff, forearm plank. Good. On or off your knees, totally up to you. Great. Come on down. All the way down to a prone position. Good. Bring your arms behind your back, clasp your fingers together. And when you're ready, on an inhalation, pull your knuckles to your heels and lift as much of your body up off the mat as you can. Lift, lift, lift. So much flexion in gardening. Arms out in front, shoulders hunched forward. This is such a good antidote to that. Change the interlace of your fingers, please, and then up you go. 2 more breaths. Find some altitude underneath your sternum. Lift, lift, lift. Fire up the muscles of your lower back. Excellent. And then come on down. We've just got one more standing sequence to do. I'm going to have you make your way to downward dog. Take as many detours as you'd like, as many breaths as you'd like. Okay. Good. Right foot forward, please. And what's happening here? Oh, what is it? Oh, yeah, okay. For a minute, I couldn't understand my notes. It's like, what is that? Okay, right foot forward. Okay, so here's what's happening now is you're going to take your dowel into your right hand, take it up over your head, and bend your elbow. Bring your left hand in to grab the dowel at your lower back. And then I want you to walk your left hand all the way down your dowel until your left arm is about straight. I'll turn so you can see. And then from here, it's almost like we're going to be flossing our spine, right? Which is kind of weird, but you're going to use your right hand to pull the dowel up. That's going to bend your left elbow. And then with your left hand, pull the dowel down. Good, just 2 more times. Pull the dowel up, so you've got a deep bend in your left elbow, and then pull the dowel down, so you've got a deep bend in your right elbow. I'll turn so you can see. One more time. Great. Good. And now what I'm going to have you do is spin your back heel down, left heel down. And now you can walk your left hand up the dowel rod. So you're coming into a Gomukhasana, right? Walk your left hand up the dowel rod towards your right hand. And then you're going to turn your trunk to the left. Arc your left elbow down towards your left hip. So I guess you're really arcing your right ribs. That's the better instruction. Arc, like make a rainbow with your right ribs. Dig your left elbow into or towards your left hip. Good. Keep your right knee moving to the right just a little bit. Yeah, Amy, great. Good, 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 good. Excellent. Good. And then bring yourself back upright. Turn your trunk to face the front of your sticky mat. So you're in a warrior 1 stance. And then pull the dowel away from your spine. Pull the dowel back. Try to get a little space between the dowel rod and your back. Pull back, go back. Keep that right elbow hugging in towards your head. Great. And then left hand releases first. Good. Right arm floats down. Take the dowel to the floor. Fingertips to the floor. And then come down onto your left knee. Okay. Both hands to the right knee. Lift yourself up. I'm going to have you bring your elbows out front, forearms out front, elbows bent. Good. Bring your forearms together. And then take your left elbow under your right elbow for Garudasana. Line up your elbows with your shoulders, please. Now, if you want to lift your back knee up, that's up to you. This is more about broadening the shoulders and spreading the muscle fibers between the rhomboids, the upper trapezius, more so than it is about strength in the legs, but you do you. Excellent. I'm going to have you unwind your arms. Bring your left elbow to the outside of your right knee, coming into prayer twist. Now at this point, I would say, yeah, go ahead and fire up that back leg so you can get off your knee. Good, and spin your sternum to the right, wrap your left ribs around to the right. And personally, I like to look down to the floor. Not only does it help my balance, but it gives me a little bit more stretch through the right neck muscles. Beautiful. Good. Hands to the floor, please. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Step back, downward facing dog. Okay, let's take the left foot forward. This is it. Good. And you're bringing your dowel with you. Yep, up into a high lunge. This time you take the dowel into your left hand, up overhead, bend the elbow. Right hand comes in at the tush. Hold on to the dowel down low so your right arm can be straight. And then the left hand pulls the right hand up. And then the right hand pulls the left hand. So just 3 times. After your 3rd time, you'll spin your right heel down, walk your right hand up towards your left hand, get a good grip on your dowel, and then turn your trunk to the right, quarter turn to the right. Now we're going to arc the left ribs open, coming into a version of exalted warrior, bringing your right heel towards or into your right buttock. Good, and then coming back up right, turn your torso, so you're looking out over the top of your sticky mat again, and give your hands a little bit of a separation on your dowel, and then here we go, pull the dowel away from your spine. Pull back, pull back, pull back. Keep that left elbow hugging and hovering close to your left ear or left side of your head. Excellent. And then relax your grip. Take your right hand out first and then set your dowel to the floor. Fingertips to the floor. Come up onto the ball of your right foot. Set your knee down. Stack your hands on your left knee and lift yourself up for Garuda prep. Forearms out front. Elbows and forearms together. Now you'll take your right elbow under your left. Lining up your elbows and shoulders in the same plane. Move your lower jaw back and forth a couple times. Great. Unwrap your arms. Now you're going to take your right elbow to the outside of your left knee. Once you get your balance and you get your twist going, then you can pop your right knee up off the floor and get off that right knee. Terrific. Right shoulder back. Wrap your left ribs around towards your right leg. Excellent. Good, good, good. That looks great. Awesome, Kathy. And then unravel, unwind, hands to the floor. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Step back to child's pose. Bring your arms by your sides and let your shoulders round forward. All right. Roll yourself upright, please. We're done with the dowels for now. I'm going to have you take a seat on your bum, stretch your legs out in front. Good. And when you get your legs stretched out in front, you're going to cross. I'm going to have you cross your left leg over your right leg. The bones established on the floor. Just crossing, full crossing shin, right? Shin and ankle. And then let's reach up through the arms, breathing in. We're going to fold forward. So it's kind of like a cross-legged Dandasana, Paschimottanasana rather. So reach down and you can take your hands to your thighs, to your shins, maybe grab an ankle, or you can take your hands to your feet or toes. Coming into this forward bend once more to release the lower back and especially target the right hip. Keep the backs of the knees open, good blood flow through the backs of the legs, particularly if you are squatting a lot when you garden. Most of us are. Couple more breaths. I'm not real rigid here about whether or not you flex your feet. Experiment. You know, how does it feel if your feet are flexed, toes are active and engaged versus just letting your feet relax? I'm more interested in what you feel along the back of your legs and the back of your hip and into your sacral area. And then begin to walk your hands up either side of your legs. I'm going to have you keep your left foot over your right leg, but just bend your left knee. So left foot is on the floor, about level with your right knee. Take your left hand to the floor behind you. Fingertips to the floor is great. And then we're going to sweep the right elbow around the front of the left knee and give it the old elbow hookasana. And twist to the left. Use your left arm like a kickstand so you're not slumping into the twist. It's keeping your spine long. And then turn your head and look out towards your right foot. Excellent. Unwind and uncross your legs, both legs down onto the floor. Now we're going to cross right ankle or shin over left. Again, grab your cheek meat so your sit bones are firmly planted. You're planting those tubers, so to speak. Arms up, breathing in. And then folding forward, breathing out. Take your hands, getting grip on whatever you get a grip on. Thighs, shins, ankles, feet. Peel your tongue off the roof of your mouth and be sure you're not grinding your teeth. Few more breaths. Terrific. Bring your hands to the mat on either side of your legs and walk yourself up. You're going to pick your right knee up and settle your right foot onto the floor just to the outside of your left knee. Right fingertips reach behind you to the floor. Remember, this is your kickstand to keep your spine elongated. And then just sweep your left elbow around the front of the eye of your elbow, around the front of your right knee. Now you can breathe deep, like this deep diaphragmatic breathing into your belly. So your belly will kind of press into your thigh as you inhale and gently deflate as you exhale. Turn your head, look out beyond your left toes. Now I'll have you unwind, uncross your right foot, stretch your legs out front. Bring your hands to your knees and gently massage your knees, making circles, kind of moving the patella even. And then go the other way. My knees get so cranky when I garden. And then we're going to come onto our backs. All the way down to your back, please. Check. Onto the floor. Bring your knees into your chest. And then cupping your hands over your knees so your fingers are reaching down your shins. I'm going to have you make 4 circles, just in one direction with your knees, pushing the knees away and then bringing them back into your chest. And then 4 circles in the other direction, please. Great. And then keeping your knees together and bent and feet off the floor, drop your knees over to the left and let your left foot and knee find the floor. Take your arms out, straight out to the sides like a T. If you want to take your left hand to the outside of your right knee, you can do that if that self-assist feels good. And bring your knees back up to center and let them roll over to the other side. Over to the right. Bring your knees back up. Hug them into your chest once more. And then set your feet to the floor. We're going to do a real low-key bridge pose. Visualize lining your heels up with your sitting bones. Bring your arms down by your sides. And then as you're ready, peel your tailbone, sacrum, low back, low ribs up off the floor. It doesn't need to be high. low-key bridge, and then you can bring your hands underneath your tush, clasp your fingers together, rock your shoulder blades in gently. Right shoulder blade tucks in towards your spine, left shoulder blade nestles in. And just opening up the front line of the spine, countering all of the bending, rounding. Take 2 more breaths. Change the interlace of your fingers, please. Excellent. And then you can release your hands and bring yourself down to the floor, 1 vertebrae at a time. Let your knees knock inward and rest against one another. So you can take your feet a little wider, and we'll spend just about 20 seconds letting the sacrum release, spreading out the low back across the sticky mat. Terrific. So it's time for Shavasana. And I think what feels really good on my lower back is putting my feet and knees up over something. So whether that's even just draping your knees over a bolster, but I like to put my feet up, or my shins rather, knees up onto an ottoman or a chair. If you have that, you can take your legs up the wall. It's another wonderful way to release the lower back and keep the backs of the knees open. But I want you to find the shape, the posture, the rest in peace pose, if you will, that is most suitable to your bones and joints and muscles and tissues. We're going to stay, we've got a good 7 minutes in Shavasana. So what I'm going to have you do is, once you get down for the count, I want you to begin stabilizing your breathing pattern. I like to use a count of 4. You use whatever feels right for you, but inhaling for 4, exhaling and counting to 4. It doesn't matter how fast or slow you count, just keep the counting steady, keep the counting rhythmic. And once this breath pattern becomes fairly effortless for you, then I'll invite you to begin slowing down your exhalations with each breath. And then, maybe you spend a little time exhaling for 6. You do that for a few rounds. And when that starts to feel like, okay, good, I got this, then slow it down even more. We spend so much of our lives living in this sympathetic nervous system state of gotta go, pedal to the metal, fight, flight, flee, freeze. It's just like, ah. And lengthening the duration of the exhalation is how we activate the parasympathetic branch of the autonomic nervous system. This is how we bring the rest and digest aspect of our nervous system into the forefront. My teacher, T.S. Little, calls this the tend and befriend. So you're tending to your nervous system, you're tending to your vagus nerve, you're tending to that part of you that needs to be calm, that needs to digest, not just digest food, but digest conversations and emotions and, God, the news. Slowing that exhale down, extremely beneficial. Stay with it. this point, you can let go of manipulating or counting the breath. Begin to move your fingers, move your toes. Pull that movement up into your hands and your feet, moving your wrists and your ankles, stretching through your arms and your legs in any shape or direction that your space allows. And then bending one knee at a time, setting your feet to the floor. Let yourself roll over to your favorite side. See about your head being the last part or piece of you to come up, like it's going to roll up like a ripe cantaloupe. Just last part to come up, and then it settles right over your shoulders. And find a seat that works for you, whether that's on the floor or moving yourself up onto a chair. And then let's take the right ear over the right shoulder. You can bring your fingertips to the floor if you'd like, either side of your hips. And then pull your head back up and take your left ear over your left shoulder. We're going to go over the right once again. Inch your left fingertips back just a little bit. Good. And then over to the left. Inching your right fingertips back just a little bit. Good. And then coming back up and very cautiously, I don't typically like to say, just take your head back. So cautiously think about lengthening the back of your cervical spine, but chin up slightly. You're looking up to the sky, looking up to the sun. Again, just countering all of the forward movement of playing in the dirt. Good. And then bring your chin to parallel. Excellent. Sweep your arms up with a big breath up overhead. Bringing your two palms together at the top of the breath. And when you exhale, bring the base of your thumbs to your forehead, to your third eye. May we tend to peace in our minds. And bring your fingertips to your lips. May we tend to peace in our speech. Rest your hands at your heart. May we always tend to peace in the garden of our hearts. Thank you. Thank you so much. Great practice, everyone. Thanks for playing with the dowels today.